Y'all boys, come on now. I want y'all to sit down and just tell me some stories, some more lies, because I gotta hurry up and get up north now. And I wanna hear that story about why the church split up. Why there's so many churches. Come on, Charlie. Come on, sit down and tell me the story. Y'all boys, y'all got so many tales to tell, so many lies, and it's just so funny. Y'all just, that joking is just so funny. Y'all just have a good time sitting out here on this post lying and gambling and having fun. So just tell me this one more story so I can get on my way. Come on, Charlie. Christ was walking along one day, and with all his disciples, he said, "We going for a walk today. Everybody pick up a rock and come along." So everybody got themselves a nice big rock, except Peter. He was lazy, so he picked up a little bit of a pebble and dropped it in his side pocket and come along. Well, they walked all day long, and the other 11 disciples changed them rocks from one arm to the other, but they kept on toting them. Long towards sundown, they come along by the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus told them, "Well, let's fish a while. Cast in your nets right here." They done like he told them and caught a great big mess of fish. Then he cooked them, and Christ said, "Now, all y'all bring up your rocks." So they all brought their rocks up, and Christ turned them into bread, and they all had a plenty to eat with their fish, except Peter. He couldn't hardly make a mouthful off of the little bread he had, and he didn't like that a bit. 2 or 3 days after that, Christ went outdoors and looked up at the sky and says, "Well, we going for another walk today. Everybody, get yourself a rock and come along." They all picked up a rock apiece and was ready to go. Oh, but Peter, he went and tore down half a mountain. It was so big he couldn't move it with his hands. He had to take a pinch bar to move it. All day long Christ walked and talked to his disciples, and Peter sweated and strained at that rock of his. Way long in the evening, Christ went up under a great big old tree and sat down and called all of his disciples around him and said, "Now everybody bring up your rocks." So everybody brought their rocks, but Peter was about a mile down the road punching this half a mountain he was bringing. So Christ waited till he got there. He looked at the rocks that the other 11 disciples had. Then he seen this great big mountain that Peter had, and he got up and walked over to it and put one foot up on it and said, "Why, Peter, this is a fine rock you got here. It's a noble rock. And Peter, on this rock, I'm going to build my church." Peter says, "No, you ain't neither. You won't build no church house on this rock. You going to turn this rock into bread." Christ knew that Peter meant that thing, so he turned the hillside into bread, and that mountain is the bread he fed the 5,000 with. Then the rock, them 11 other rocks. Then he took them other rocks and glued them together and built his church on it. And that's how come the Christian churches today is split up into many different kinds, because it was built on pieces of rock. Zora Hurston certainly enjoyed the stories that she heard on the porches from the boys. A lot of them she had grown up with. That was their way of joking and having fun and getting over the stress of the day. Well, that's your folklore for today. What is your story? What stories will you leave your children? Will they be true stories, or will they be stories made of folk tales? Be good to one another. Be good to yourself. And I'll see you tomorrow.